Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love shortcuts.
All right, Serge. Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming on the channel.
Hey, hi, how's it going? Very good. Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. First of all, how do you say your last name?
Courtois.
Okay.
Courtois. Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
it's
want to
French.
mess it
Yeah.
up. It
No,
is
it's all
French.
good.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
no good at French. I wanted to introduce you first to the audience. I'm just gonna look over I have on my phone here. I have your bio, and I'm just gonna kind of skim through it. But your bio is very impressive, very long. So I'm gonna
Oh,
put
thanks.
a link to that in the description as well. But Serge studied at Berklee College of Music, studying music production and engineering, as well as a drum set performance major. I might want to talk to you about that actually, because it seems like
Sure.
a lot of engineers have done drums or did. I
Yeah.
did drums. I was into drums.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like a common thing. But anyway, after school, you worked at Igloo Music in Burbank, where you worked on TV shows and movies, stuff like Californication, Revenge, Last Resort, Guardians of the Galaxy, RoboCop, and then you won a Grammy for Birdman, right?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. And then let's see, you were in charge of the voiceover department in the last year that you were at Igloo Music, working with clients such as Disney, Lucasfilm, Marvel, and then game companies too, like Bungie. Is that how you say I'm not good at
Yep.
the game stuff.
Halo. Yeah.
Cool. Valve, Insomniac Games, and Blizzard. I know some of those.
Yep. Yep.
And then you are now, is this now? Now you are a self-employed full-time mixer, and you've been working with Lucas Keller from Milk and Honey and a lot of really impressive clients, like Nick Jonas, 21 Pilots. I'm just grabbing like random ones from your bio here. Backstreet Boys. Let's see. Madison Beer, Avril Lavigne, Carly Rae Jepsen. It's a long list. But yeah, and then now you founded Mountain Road DSP, which is a plugin company, right?
Yep.
And you
Correct.
have your first plugin, Auxcord, and you're working on another right now. Is that
Yep.
a good
That's right.
skim of
Yep.
your bio?
That's pretty much it. Yep. That's all about me.
Cool.
Yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
yeah, that's correct. Yep. Yeah.
Sweet. And where are you living right now?
I'm technically in Germany, but I like to say that I live in Luxembourg just because we are literally 200 yards away from Luxembourg. So
Okay.
that's why I always say, yeah, so it's home basically. Yep. I
Awesome.
moved
Cool.
back home, yeah, after all these years, yeah.
And you're still working with a lot of LA clients while living there, right?
Yes, definitely. I think out of all the projects I do, I think it's easily 60-70% are LA based.
Okay.
Yeah, a few Nashville, a few New York, a couple London, and then Australia, actually quite a few too, and South Korea. Those are like the main hubs, I want to say. Yeah, I just have one single German client, so it's
Okay.
kind of funny. But
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
One German client.
Yeah, I know.
What's it like collaborating with people remotely, collaborating with people in LA and elsewhere? How's that end up?
It's actually not that big a problem for the most part, really. When I moved away in 2016, pre-COVID, I should say, it was a little bit bigger deal. People wanted to stop by the studio. I had those occasional ones where I was like, hey, can I drop the files off at the studio, that kind of thing. And then I had to be like, hey, actually, I'm like 10,000 miles away. So, but surprisingly, it didn't come up that often. And now with COVID, everyone's doing remote work anyway, so it's much
Yeah.
less of an issue.
Yeah. Everyone got
it's
comfortable with it, huh?
exactly, and it's not even a question anymore. So I just get the files, and we do the tweaks through email, and sometimes there's the occasional audio movers, the listen to session that we have, but
Yeah.
most of the time it's just tweaks through email, really.
Yeah. How do you like
Yeah.
audio movers?
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it always works for me. Yeah, I I have the most of the time they just want to hear it through FaceTime. So it's kind of, you have all this elaborate setup, and then like, oh, that's fine. Let's just do FaceTime. Like, are you sure? They're like in the car and just
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it seems to work. No, Listen to works great. Yeah, it's good for what it
Okay.
does. I think it's good. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Do you use it too?
No.
Sometimes no.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients that have gone back to like in person. So,
Ah.
yeah. I'm like
Okay,
kind of
fair
doing a
enough.
combo. I guess I'm like 50-50, maybe remote and
Oh,
in
gotcha.
person.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
but yeah, I'll just send people. I've been very trusting. I just kind of send people the mix, and I'm like, here, what do you think of this? You know, and it's
Yeah.
worked so far. Like if someone takes the mix and doesn't pay me, then it's like I just don't work with them again. But I haven't even had
That's
that happen. So
yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
funny. I just had that discussion with someone 2 days ago actually. They asked me like how do you do this with the mixes? Like do you cut out sections of the song and stuff? And I just said, well, no, I just send it. And
yeah,
it usually works out. And the people who take the mix and don't pay, and that if you get into that issue, it's usually from my experience, it's very rare.
yeah,
It happens once in a blue moon, but then you just don't go back to that person.
right, yeah,
And usually those people, they don't. I kind of go out on a limb here, but they usually don't. It's not like they become like the next mega superstar.
yeah,
They kind of do their thing, and they, if they cheap out on like I don't know a $300 mix or something, then you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah. I've been
so,
really lucky. I haven't had that happen at all.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you're in Pro Tools too, right?
Yes, 100% for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's running right there. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I try. Yeah, we could talk about Pro Tools for quite a while here.
Yeah.
But no, I like Pro Tools. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I can see why.
Yeah.
But I can see also just as many reasons why I like Pro Tools. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's what I started out with, and along the way I tried Logic, and Ableton I like too quite a bit. It's different. I wouldn't necessarily want to work in mixing it, to be honest. It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
Cubase, I haven't worked in it in a minute, but Cubase was pretty good too. A lot of functionality, I thought. And then I really like Pro Tools. I do. It's my thing. It feels like I get like romantic about this, but it feels like home. Sitting
Yeah.
down at a Pro Tools, like, okay, cool, we're home. Like this is how. And no matter where you sit down, it's always the same shortcuts and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yep, I can work with this. Yeah.
Are you like comfortable in the other DAWs too? Or like for me, I'm so bad in the other DAWs. So I can't like I get so frustrated when I try a different DAW because I'm so comfortable in Pro Tools.
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah. Every time, it's very rare that I get like Logic sessions or when they're in a hurry, it's like, hey, can you use this Logic session? And every time I'm like, yep, it's going to be fine. I'll just export a couple tracks.
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
20 minutes into it, I'm downstairs, like just venting to my wife, like, this is not this.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely. Feel
yeah.
the frustration. Yep.
I know like enough in Logic to know how to export stuff and then bring
Yes.
it into Pro Tools. And then like a
Yep.
couple shortcuts and that's it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I know too. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know last time we talked once before this and we were talking about shortcuts a little in Pro Tools and you had some good ones. I was wondering if you could share them with us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love shortcuts. Yeah, so which ones? Oh yeah, one of the greats is the Command Shift E shortcut, the insert empty space, I think it is called, and that's I use it when editing vocals and you want to chop out those pieces.
Yeah.
And when you have your hand on the left side of the keyboard, and you do zoom in and all that stuff, and when you have to move your hand over to the delete button so often, it's the Command Shift E kind of takes care of that. That's a great one. Which is the other? Oh, the other one, the closing of the plugin window.
I
Do
don't
you
know
the
that
shortcut
one.
for that? Oh, yeah.
No,
See?
I don't think I
There's
do. I know how to open it so that it stays open. Do the shift click thing.
Yes.
I like that one a
Or
lot.
the red light. Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
great. But yeah, to close all the plugin windows, it's one of those muscle memory things. Option Command W,
Huh.
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like one of those
That makes
thumb
sense. Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Option Command W to close it out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that closes all your plugin windows. That's a good one too.
Oh, cool. It closes all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So if I want to make it all cluttered and chaotic and then I want to clean it up.
Yep. And I actually think, you know what? I think it's actually like a Mac specific shortcut.
Oh, okay.
And I think it works on like on Finder too, and Chrome, it like closes the top window or something. But
Yeah. I feel like I've
That's
heard
another good
that,
one.
like the, something with the W to close windows. So that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's another
Sweet.
good one.
Yeah. Any other ones?
Any other ones? Wait, let me think here. Going through the motions. Well, we know, the clip gain 1 and all those, right? Yeah. The
I think so,
control shift scrolling.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through the motions here.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, that's all good. I love it. No, we all know the Command Shift K, CUB, all that stuff. I don't even know what other ones do we have. Command Space.
To play, record, right?
Yeah.
Command space bar
I
is
think
another way to hit record, I think.
Is that it, or is it
No,
like
no, I'm
playback-
second guessing myself.
Playback in slow motion.
Oh,
Is that
that one's a different. Wait,
Is it?
that
or
one's
is
like
it- oh, it's-
shift space or something. That one's a lot of fun. I accidentally do that one sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's really funny
Yeah.
when I do that with like if a client's in the room, and I'm like, oh, it's fine, everything's fine. It's like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
I
hit
know,
this. it's
Or
everything's
the
great.
what is it? The command, and then the keypad, right? Command 5 is play, and then command 4, 3, 2, 1 is like slow down, and 6, 7, 8 it speeds it up. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Those are good. I like never use them though. I don't know.
Nah, very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about mixing? Like what advice do you have for people learning to mix?
I would say, use a reference that you mix to. Like if you have a pop song, something off Spotify that you really like, that really resonates with your ear. I always have a track or two. I mean, mine one is actually Katy Perry, Act My Age. I always use that because I feel like that's a very even, to my ear at least, it's a very even EQ. And I feel like it translates really well on each system.
Cool.
That and what helps me is structuring the mix process, but that's just me.
Yeah.
To not just dive in and try to get it, mix it, but to, I don't know. I have this list, like to-do list for every single song that I mix. Like first do this, then check on here, then check on there. And every time I notice like, oh, you know what? I should really check it on these speakers too, or I should check it in mono on the whatever this. And then I update this to-do list. So for the next mix, I incorporate that into my mix process, So that really helped me to kind of put structure into making each mix sound the same.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of, besides
what kind of stuff is on your to-do list?
Prepping the mix, putting plugins on it, checking it against the ref mix the producer sent over, automating vocals, checking through different speakers, checking on the headphones, going through the each track on the headphones, then cleaning up the vocals because, as you mentioned, voiceover. So there's like a lot of editing vocals. So I thought like, well, might as well just incorporate that. And then checking on different speakers, checking here, checking there, and then sending off and hoping, hoping that they like it. Yeah.
When you're doing your reference, checking with your reference, do you use your plugin for that?
It depends. Yes, I mean, that's how I import if there's a new Spotify song, or if they're like, hey, we really like this song off Spotify, can you check it? Then yes.
Cool.
That's when I use aux chord for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to explain to everyone like what the plugin does, what it is?
Yeah, totally.
So they know what we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. What aux chord does, it basically creates an AirPlay receiver inside your DAW. So you can stream audio from any mobile device. Obviously all the iOS and iPad and all that, but also Android. There's a couple apps that you can, like Air Music or something, where you can send to, and it just shows up straight in your DAW, and you can play whatever you want off your phone. Really, it's the entire output of your phone. and it's lossless at what is it, 44K 24-bit, I believe it is.
Oh, cool.
That's the highest AirPlay does. And yeah, so that's it. It's a very convenient way to just record references in Pro Tools and double check stuff. And yeah,
Cool.
that's the idea.
Yeah. So when do you use that with a reference versus not?
What do you mean? When not? Well, if the producer sends over a reference of the mix, of course, then he sends it over as a wave, of course, right?
Yeah. So then you
And
import.
then and then I just switch back and forth and check that if my mix is like way off or whatever, so I can kind of hone it in and get into the same ballpark. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're also, I know you have some kind of an Atmos mix setup, right?
I do.
Can you
yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, Atmos. A lot of people want Atmos these days, and so I really got into that too. And I thought, how can I upgrade my studio to Atmos so I can properly mix it in my studio without spending like $100,000 on it or something. So, what I came to and this is just me, of course, but what I came to the conclusion of is that if I have my Guzowskis as my main stereo speakers that are calibrated to the room and everything, and well, I'm not going to buy like 10 more Guzowskis that I'm going to hang all over the place. First of all, my room's way too small for that, and second of all, my budget's way too small for that too. So I thought, well, how can I make the most of it? So I got these little Genelecs that you can see there.
Yeah.
And so I got those all over the place, and they're all in spec, the Atmos Dolby stuff. So that's all good. And I really just use those for positioning. I know they're calibrated as like timing and volume and all that, but EQ, I didn't calibrate them. So I just have them. I just use them as really placement speakers. Where to place in the Atmos panning and the height and all of that, and then for doing like proper EQing, I actually fold it down to 2.1, and I mix on my Guzowski. So that's kind of how I thought about it. Well, then I can do like actually really precise EQing and matching of the stereo mix. Do it on these because that's like 1-to-1 basically. And then when I fold it back out to the Atmos, then I use these for the positioning. And then of course you got to do the AirPods thing too. So yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's kind of how what these Genelecs are. Yeah.
Cool. And so the Genelec behind you, it's one of the tiny ones, right? It's not like really far away.
No, it is not very far away.
Like I could see the candle, so it's probably probably one of the tiny ones.
It's really not that far away. No, it's super tiny small. No, it's exactly very tiny small. No.
Yeah.
I didn't. Again, I thought like in my mind it was just like, well, I would have to get the really, really big Genelecs to match the sonics of the Guzowskis. So I thought, well, I don't really see the reason in that. So, and they're always going to sound different than the Guzowskis unless I calibrate those too. And then we're talking of a whole different undertaking here, because I have the Guzowskis. It's not just the GS3A speakers, but I also have the sub, and they are calibrated by a Trinnov ST2 Pro.
Okay.
So it's like all that, and if I want to do that for Atmos, it puts another price tag on the whole operation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, those setups can get so expensive.
Yeah, no, for sure, exactly. And I mean, I mix them quite a bit, but it's not like I mix like 500 Atmos mixes a year where where that would like justify it,
Yeah. How often do people ask for Atmos mixes?
I feel like last year it was like every other song, but now this year, I don't know. It feels like it's dying down a little bit. Maybe every fifth song or so, every 10th song, maybe. Yeah.
Because I heard like iTunes and stuff. They're what was it that I heard? That they're not requiring Atmos mixes, obviously, but giving like preferential treatment or something to Atmos mixes. Have you heard of this?
Yeah. I think there was a time when Apple was like, and this is just what I heard, that they said like every mix has to be an Atmos mix too, so we have the stereo and the Atmos to put on Apple Music. But I feel like now it's it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
And some people see the value in it because you get on all these like spatial mix playlists and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's it. Yeah, no, I think it don't. No, like because I mix a lot of EDM stuff too, and that's usually not so Atmos prone to it. So yeah, not a few, but not too many these days. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if Atmos is gonna, it's like the question: is it gonna take off and become the thing, or is it kind of on the side forever?
I know that's everybody asks. I mean, my take on it is that Atmos. I mean, have you worked in Atmos? Have you mixed in it and stuff?
I've like seen. I haven't done much. I've like seen a little bit about it and like briefly used it, but I haven't. No one asked me for it. But like I'm just in San Diego working with artists down here. But like I did work in commercial studios for years, and not even like we had some big names come in there, but it wasn't a big thing yet then. So
no, for sure. Yeah, it's very recent. No, for sure. I mean, I see it as like the Dolby Atmos thing is like super powerful, and like what it can do and how it treats audio. It's like very cool, very, very cool. But at the same time, I have to admit that if you have a stereo mix and I have to make an Atmos out of that, like I can't really reinvent the wheel. It's actually they have like all these requirements, and one of the requirements is that it sounds sonically the same as a stereo mix. So I mean, the kick and the snare and the vocal have to be in the middle. You have your guitars and your reverbs and your stuff. So you can I can't have the vocal flying around on the ceiling. It's not going to sound like the stereo. So there's only so much you can do. It's more like a front to back, and you give it a little bit of space, but which is a shame, really, because it's super powerful and it can do a whole lot of really cool stuff.
You could do so much more.
I know. What I think what it would take is like a band, I don't know, something like Radiohead or so, who does like, we're going to do an Atmos album. And they really explore the stuff, and that could be really cool. But now I feel like it's a little very restricted by what it's used for. Yeah. That's just, that's what I see, at least.
So what are you putting like around you? Is it mostly like reverbs and like aux percussion, or what do you end up doing?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned reverbs, because one of the requirements they say is too that the reverb vocal should be in the front channels. So you're like, oh man, I can't even pan that back. But no, there's there's some reverbs. There's some cool delay reverby thingies that you can do. That you have like basically 3 delays going front, center, back. So it's like, I don't know, what do I have it like 25, 50 milliseconds, 100 or something like that. So you put something on and it kind of has it flying to the back, that kind of thing. And you can do some slaps in the back too for bass. People like to do that. So, but pure panning wise, you got to have your prominent things at the front, the bass, kick, snare, vocal. Backgrounds, you can experiment with ad-libs. You can send those in the back. So that's pretty cool. It's also very song dependent, but I think I like to have it where, like in the verses, maybe you have a little bit more like a front heavy mix with a couple of reverbs and maybe like a shaker or so in the back or something. And then the chorus is kind of where it opens up even more. When those additional maybe pads or synths come in, you can pan those back a little bit more, maybe send a couple to the ceiling too. And
cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do, at least. And I seem to get by with it. So
yeah. Cool.
Exactly.
How about, mixed business and clients? Do you have any advice for people?
Mixed business and clients.
Like getting clients or business advice or...
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, when it rains, it pours, that kind of situation. I think we all have that when you have like, you wake up and you're like, well, mortgage is due and all the bills are coming in. Where are those mixes, And then a week goes by and you get all these emails in. So I like to think of, I like to rarely say no to a client. Also, people are like, I like to keep the client happy. Really, that's what I do. I don't like to put too much ego into my work per se, because I have a feeling that people are going to come back to you if they like working with you. So that's what I always, even when you're like very frustrated, you know, you have those mixes where like just it keeps on going. You're like, oh my God, I spent so much time on this already. Can we please be done with this? But you always write back, it's like, yeah, sure, happy to help, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, but I've seen the ego in engineers where they really get into a fight with the artists and stuff. And I feel like that's a very, I don't know. Again, I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but I feel like you could do that a few years ago, like 20 years ago, when the mixer was really mixing a whole project from 0 to 100. Now, I feel like producers nowadays, they put so much effort into their sonics already that when you get a song, at least the ones I get, they put in like, I don't know, hundreds of hours of production and mixing already. So they really know what they want it to sound like. So for me, it's then just to have their idea and make it sound better, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to change it around and give them something completely different? It might be better, yes, but they are going to be very unhappy, you know. And
well, and better is like that's so subjective too.
And exactly. It's like, what is it? You know, is it really going to be like just because of the mix break number one and become the world? But chances are very, very, you know, I would say like statistically, it's very, very slim that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, and we have this expression, the red cake, blue cake. That's what we always say is when you're a baker, let's say, and somebody comes up to you and says like, hey, I need a red cake. And like, a red cake? Okay, sure. And then you go back and you make the best cake ever. Like the absolute best cake even in the world, but it's a blue cake, right? And the client comes back, it's like, hey, where's my red cake? No. This is the best cake ever. But he's like, yeah, but it's blue. I needed a red cake. Yeah, but this is the best. You know, it could be the best mix ever, but the client just wanted a red cake, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I like to see it. It's like, well, if I don't like it, it's, you know, where's the balance? I don't know. I think like my ear kind of already goes in the direction what I like without making a conscious choice, you know? But that being said, sometimes it's very hard dealing with people who they might have toured a lot as guitarists or so, and their ears are kind of blown. And they're like, hey, can you boost that 3K a little bit more? And I'm already here with earplugs on, you know, mixing this thing.
Yeah.
And
how
then
do you address that?
Yeah, I do write back like, hey, I can't, like I had a project this actually pretty recently, and they wanted more highs. And I'm sitting here with my, like I had to turn the volume down because it was so bright. And I told them, hey, I'm happy to turn it up, but in my opinion, I think we're reaching a point where it's already very bright and brighter than any reference I could find on Spotify or so. So just keep that in mind. And they actually said, okay, well, we were on tour and let's take a couple days rest. And they actually did come back with like, okay, yeah, you're right. Maybe let's take it back 10%, and we settled on that. So now when I hear the song, I'm like, yeah, it's still pretty bright, but at least I can listen to it, you know. So yeah.
Do you notice that happening more in certain genres over others?
No, I wouldn't say that. Say that. No, I think it's very mixed. You have those EDM producers who are on stage every single day and they have amazing ears.
Yeah.
And you have the guys who played in like a punk band when they were 16 and the ears are kind of blown.
Yeah.
So could be anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've had that happen with like a couple clients where they want to push it. They want more of the snappiness, more of the high end. And I'm like,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's paining me.
Those are the notes. Those are the notes, right? Make the chorus more pop and the vocals more.
Yeah.
You know, those are the notes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Make it more slappy. Make it hit harder. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to come out with a plugin at some point, just the hit harder or the vocal slapper or something. Yeah.
Well, they have like the fresh air one that just brings on.
Yeah, true.
Just kind of like, I mean, you know, it's not all of it, but
yeah. No.
Can definitely get overused, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I know.
So what else? Do you have any advice for like recording vocals or?
Recording vocals.
Sorry, I'm just kind of throwing these at you today.
No, I love that. It's
like out of
recording vocals. Yeah, here we are, right? Recording vocals. Oh yes. The number one, I think, besides like putting a pop filter on those kind of things, besides what I don't see too much happening, unfortunately, is people not selecting the mic according to the vocal that's in front of it. One of the things we did a lot when I recorded for Disney and those guys, it was all very vocal specific, you know. Every voiceover actor we had in, we would like put 3 or 4 mics up and we kind of run it, and then we ran it through a couple different pre's and compressors even to find like the perfect chain. And at the beginning I didn't believe in it so much. I was like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. But I gotta be honest here and say that after a few months of really working in it, I was like, oh yeah, it makes total sense. Like all these mics, they have such a different characteristic, and like an 87 might be a great mic on somebody's voice, but it might be an absolute complete wrong choice for another vocal, I think, you know. And so unfortunately you have these producers, they have one mic, they might have an 87 because it's a good mic, it's expensive, blah blah blah, and they put it on every vocal, and before you know it, it's on one, you know. A lot of the times it doesn't work because it's just too harsh, you know.
Right.
And so I would, if it was up to me, I would like if you know you have like a big artist coming in, I would like rent 3 or 4 mics for that day, because they are not that, especially in like LA area and that kind of stuff. I would rent like 3 or 4 really good mics and just do like a quick takes. And it could make such a big difference really on like the whole thing. Because we had Adele's producer in the studio once, and he had his little lunchbox too with like his 2-3 pre's and 2-3 compressors and pre's and stuff. And we talked to him. I was like, yeah, for sure. We like, even like, I believe it didn't even mention that like song specific they would change the pre, because it just reacts differently, you know. And it really does make it, it's kind of like a lost art in a way, that they take it for granted. It's like, well, the voice is now in Pro Tools, so it should be fine, right? But it really isn't, because then the more you mix, I mean, that's what I noticed, that the really great producers, they send over like really expensive recordings, and it's like, it's super smooth. You just work on it, everything works. You bring up those highs, it's like amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's like less effort.
Exactly. And then the ones where they're cheaped out of the mic a little bit, it takes so much effort with like saturation and dipping and boosting, and it still doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
in the end.
It doesn't get to the same spot.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's what I would say. It's just not just relying on one single mic, but really like seeing what works best with the vocal.
Yeah, so like taking the time to do the mic shootout and
yeah, exactly. I mean, you could even put the 3 mics up right there and have them sing a verse real quick while they warm up. It's really it's not even that big of a waste of time. It takes maybe 3-4 minutes, and you just choose real quick and use that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I try to do that. It's hard though when the client wants to rush it, you know.
I know. It's not just the producer's fault. I know these guys, they come in, they want to record and be done in like 20 minutes and stuff. And so it's, I know. But yeah, I mean, for recording vocals, that's what I would say. Is like the mic does really make a difference. And I mean, we could talk about pre's and stuff, which I like the Millennia pre's, to be honest. I think those are great. Those actually make a huge difference too, and even that combined with like an 87 with a I don't know, like we had, what was the pre we had, a Martech pre or something. There was like very harsh, and then a harsh vocal. It was ridiculous, you know. Even though you look at the price tag of each component and you're like, oh, this should sound amazing, but it just didn't, you know.
Yeah, but that's the thing with audio gear, right? There's like some stuff that's much more affordable that, like, you know, this, like the SM7, right? It's like much more affordable than a lot of other mics that are comparable, I think. And it's like you can't just look at the price tag.
No, not at all. Yeah. No, totally agree. Yeah.
I had recently on my channel, actually, I did a mic shootout video, and there was an 87 in it, and we excuse me, we decided that it didn't sound as good on this one female vocal as a modded MXL that was like, you know, way cheaper. Way cheaper.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's and then on somebody else's vocal, it's exactly the opposite. So
yeah. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. People don't realize that though. You know, they want to see the 87 in the booth right off the bat.
I know, because it's like one of those. I mean, how much do they sell for? I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 or something like that.
Yeah, they're like a few
So,
thousand, I think.
yeah, so they're like expensive, but not like super expensive. So it's like the one you go to,
Yeah,
before you get like in 47 or those Telefunken ones, they are like easily 10 or whatever, or 12 or 8 or something. So
yeah,
yeah, it seems, yeah,
yeah. Do you
yeah.
do you then like take the extra time if you're recording an instrument, for example, to get the mic placement perfect? Or,
Yes,
perfect.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, of course, I think you fall back to your tried and true positions, like acoustic guitar, for example, you kind of go in, but um, I, I think it really does help if you take a second and actually put your ear where the mic should be,
Mm-hmm.
and you just kind of move around and see what it sounds like, because every guitar or every instrument does have a few different,
Yeah.
characteristics. And then if you know your mics and the pickup patterns and what they sound like and how they react, then I think you could really, be like, oh, you know what? Last time we used a Royer on this acoustic guitar, but I think this one is a little darker. So how about we use the 87? That should
Mm-hmm.
work nice. And but yeah, that's
Cool.
kind of how. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long because I know it's late where
No,
you
no, it's
are.
fine.
But you said you were working on a new plugin.
Yes.
Can you tell us
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah,
Can
I can
can you
tell you
spill
what
the
it is.
beans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can. I can spell a little bit of the beans. Yes, we we're working on. So with the first plugin, Oxcord, it's a pure utility plugin, right? And we had, not gonna lie, there's like a lot of potential issues that are not plugin related. Why your Wi-Fi might be kind of bad, or your
Mm.
computer might be on it. So I thought, what, for the next one, we're going to stay away from that. I think there's a reason why no other company does it. Um, but
Uh-oh.
oh yeah, I know. The next one is a delay plugin. That's what
Okay.
it is. It's a delay plugin that I've had this idea for a while now at this point, and we tackled it. And I think we got it to a point where it's pretty cool to work with. It's something very, very different than the
Mm.
delays have been done so far, I think. I cannot think. I did quite extensive research on it, and I could not find a delay that's similar to this, just from like how you use it.
Okay.
So I'm very curious to see how people are gonna react to it. And right now, I want to say the plugin is pretty much done. The basic version of that is. But we're working on some more behind the scenes licensing things and stuff.
Mm.
So hopefully in a month or late October, we can release it. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
Cool. Do you know what it's going to be called already, or?
No, I don't know yet. No. I have I have a huge list of potential names, but I haven't settled on the name yet. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So,
are you able to say what makes it different, or do you want to release it before you?
I think I'm going to hold off on that
Okay.
just for
Cool.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I guess I'm gonna let you go, but thank you so
Cool.
much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And everyone, thank you for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. All the usual stuff like comment, subscribe. I have a Patreon. Thank you to my Patreon patrons. The Patreon is patreon.com/CatoNoise. If you're interested in checking it out, there's additional content, stuff like that. I think that's it. So I come out with new videos every Wednesday, and thank you. And thank you, Serge.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I just stumbled through that, but yeah. Okay.